All right, next level podcast listeners. I am your host, Kevin Kaufman, and I am joined this week by Kenny Klaus. Kenny, how's it going, buddy?
Man, incredibly great. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with such a great group that's constantly working to get better at their craft, man. So proud to be part of it.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate that. It's funny. That's how you and I met way back in the day. So for the listeners that don't know, Kenny and I are in the same market, kind of in the same backyard in the greater Phoenix area. But I met Kenny through a mastermind that I somehow got invited to way back in the short sale days when I hadn't even been in real estate a year at that point. And, just kind of developed a relationship with him throughout the years and really have come to admire his business, but not just his business, the way he's built it and the way he's has continued to add things to his business to grow it and make it even bigger has always been something about Kenny I admired. And so, as you know, as a listener of the podcast, I like to dissect what top agents are doing in their business and how they've grown it. So I can't think of a better person than Kenny Klaus to come on and share some of that stuff with us.
And appreciate it. It's an honor. I thank you so much. Yep.
No worries. So just give us the 30-second rundown. Like, how did you, I know you were a FedEx before you got into real estate, but like, when did you get into real estate and how did it even come about?
So first of all, you said 30 seconds. Come on, dude.
Yeah. 5 minute, elevator pitch, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, real quick, you're right. I was a FedEx guy for 13 years, which kind of gave me the foundation for how I grew my real estate business. But got licensed in '99, so in my 20th year now, which seems crazy, but it's true. And just really kind of did both, part-time as I was transitioning out of FedEx based on, consistency of income and benefits and all of that. And so we had some goals that we set, and it took me about 4 years, about 3.5, 4 years total to get to the point where I could, do this full time, and then just jumped in from there and started learning and growing. And we can talk more about getting into, kind of how we built the business. But fun thing is, it's been consistent now, man. And I love to kind of share the story because I'm still doing it today. Is kind of the fun thing, and it's all built on, not a moment in the market, but just built on, consistent, relentless effort. And we may lose a few people there, but it is work still. And but the opportunity, it's that fear of waking up every day unemployed, but then the opportunity to wake up every day with no ceiling above you is motivating and exciting for me.
It's pretty amazing. So, I want to stop you there for a second because you just said something that I know a lot of the listeners and a lot of agents who are newer are challenged with. You actually did hey, I'm going to start part-time and keep this full-time job and transition. And it's been my experience that a lot of agents don't ever make that transition because they never have the ability to put in the effort to the real estate sales. Could you share maybe, was there one or two things that you did, or was there a moment when it clicked for you and you went, oh yeah, okay, I got this. I'm going to be able to complete this transition? Because I see so many people never make it over that bridge.
The truth of it is that I didn't know what I didn't know back then. I just had set a goal, me and my wife, because we were both working at regular jobs. And we just really set a goal, said, if I continue to do this, I know where I'm going to end up. And it's not a bad place. I had a lot of good buddies at FedEx that have done very well and been there a long time. It just didn't feel like at age that I should settle for that without challenging myself. So we really just set a goal and said, we want to both, she was working full time. It's like, I want to get you out of, stay at home. When I met her, she had a 3 and 6 year old, which are now 30 and 27. It's crazy. But we had, we wanted to have 2 of our own. It was my goal. And so really to have her home, and that was a motivator to me. And then we just set a goal, said, hey, we want to have no debt and have $10,000 in the bank. And if that takes me 3 years or 6 years or whatever, that's kind of our vision. And so we were, kept chipping away at it. I started selling some houses, just reinvested that money back into paying off debt. And then actually got to about 30,000 in savings and no debt before I finally made the leap. But back then I had to always think bigger than me because I had, a wife counting on me and kids, and, without benefits in the world today is tough. And so we really had to be in a position, but it was also my motivator. I knew what my why was in a bigger picture, and I've always been an opportunity junkie. I just feel like if my efforts are, I control them. And if I put in enough, that the opportunity can be as big as it can get. And just stay humble, stay hungry, like you hear out there. It's just, you got to live that and keep growing. And so, that's kind of how I started, like a typical agent, just trying to meet people and do real estate. And I quickly realized that was a tough way to do business, just because you never knew where your next lead was coming from versus kind of being laser focused. And that's kind of how I started taking that step in about 2001.
One of the things I love that you said, Kenny, was super powerful. And I want to make sure it's not glossed over by the listeners, is that you had set a goal of no debt and $10,000 in the bank. And the next words you said is, it didn't matter if it took 3 years or 6 years. I think so many of us in real estate, and probably just people in life, we have these ideas of like, hey, if I'm going to get this goal, like I've got to get it in the next year, like this calendar year. For some stupid reason, we put this as a limitation on us of, well, I've got to do that this year, and if I don't, then I must be a failure. Whereas you just said, no, the goal is the goal. And in that case, it was no debt and $10,000 in cash. And if it took you 3 or 6, you just said it didn't matter. I love the fact that you were way more attached to your goal and not necessarily making it look a certain way within a certain time frame.
What's that quote out there that people, underestimate what they can do in 5 years and overestimate what they can do in a year?
Yep.
So they put that pressure when they don't hit it, it derails them. As long as you're seeing progress, and you're doing the right thing. And one thing that, took me, I was a slow learner on the personal growth front. I just willed my way to work ethic and success in a lot of ways. I was always competitive as an athlete. And so once I got, to that point, in 2005, I actually went to a Brian Buffini seminar called A Turning Point, ironically. For me, that was a turning point, because it made me get out of my own way and say, man, there's so many people doing things at a high level that's been proven. The question always is, who do you trust and who do you listen to? It's easier to validate that in today's world, online. And of course, I guess it's confusing too. But it was really just start reading and working on how do I get better, because I'm truly my number one asset, and my world grows to the extent that I grow. So having to get better, as a person, as a friend, as a husband, as a father, just looking at ways to just push myself a little bit more. And I incorporated the whole 2-1-2 thing, at 212 degrees, which is at 211 degrees water's hot, at 212 it boils. Boiling water creates steam, and steam's powerful enough to move a locomotive. It's that one extra degree. And I've always looked at that as like, how do we do that one little extra thing to take things from ordinary to extraordinary in anything you're doing in life? And so you just live that mission, and man, the compounding results over time are pretty exciting. The problem is we're in a world where, it's get rich quick. It's how do you do this and, make money. And, you hear the stories, but they're so far few between. And then a lot of times you don't know what's behind the curtain anyway. So you got to just focus on what you can control and what you can do. And that's the cool thing about our industry is, the positive and negative is it's 90 hours to get a real estate license in Arizona. The positive is it's a quick barrier to get into the opportunity. The negative is a lot of people get into the opportunity.
Right. Yeah, there's no doubt. You know what I love too is you just talked about the difference between 211 degrees and 212 degrees. And what I want to share with the listeners right now is you've been saying that since the day I met you. That's not like some fancy thing that you said. You're like, hey, I got to have this line because I'm going to be on stage or I'm going to be on a podcast this afternoon. That's actually something you live, and I've watched you live it, from the time I met you just over 10 years ago. And because I can remember sitting in that mastermind group just right down the street from where I'm sitting right now, and you talking about the difference between 211 and 212 degrees and how water starts to boil and then creates steam. And you, of all people I know, genuinely live that. And again, it's that compound effect of doing things like that over time. That's something that time is that great equalizer that no lead generation tool, no method, no get rich quick scheme, nothing can overtake time, right? And that's what I love is you've just gotten really clear on your principles and the way you operate, and you've just done that for a long period of time, and it's been massively successful for you.
Well, just so you know how committed I am. It's actually tattooed right there. So my license plate's 11212, and I think it's just it gives you that refocus point. I mean, don't get me wrong, man. There's ups and downs in this business daily,
Yeah.
and how do you pick yourself up? It's who you surround yourself by, what you're reading, to really keep you motivated. I think people have drive or they don't. Motivation, like Ziegler says, it's got to be daily, like bathing, right? You've got to keep finding ways to push through, because there's so many quitting points. And let's face it, I mean, we've been through the short sale market, the investor market. Now we're in one of the craziest markets that potentially could claim the most amount of real estate licenses since I've been in it, if people don't, adapt and react quickly and kind of get out of their own way and educate and learn, kind of like we talked about, before with the short sale market, whether CDP was the best program out there or not, it certainly unified an industry and gave us some direction. And for those who educated on it, we came out of a terrible market that cost a lot of people their business, and actually grew from it, because the consumer needed us more than they ever did. And I feel like even though we're in a positive market right now, meaning interest rates, homes are selling quickly, we're in a scary market at the same time for the real estate agent. And yet at the same time, the consumer really could use us more than ever from a guide and from having representation on their side, to really be, the market expert, to make sure they know all their options. So it really hasn't changed. It's just this time it's a positive message. The question will be is how quickly do we as an industry adapt and then unify as realtors, not as who cares what company you're with, but as an industry. And I think that, to me, going forward, that's why I'm taking my time and sharing the vision of what I think is, if we don't all let consumers know that we're on top of what's happening in the market, the difference this time around is the path to get to your database is wide open. It is not a closed database. They are seeing TV, radio, commercials. Like in short sale, we didn't really have that coming after our database, so we had time to react to it. Here, I don't think you have time, man. I mean, it's out there. And again, I'm talking, our market, of course, Arizona, which we both get to share in, is where everybody likes to try out their new tech toys. So we're constantly one of the first to have to adapt to a new market or what's happening. But this time is different than any of them I've seen it. And I don't think it's a moment in the market. I think this is the market.
I think it's a moment in time that is going to be a placeholder. And I want to talk about that more. But before we do that, to give us an idea, like what is the Klaus team, like what's your production look like? Do you guys work, tell us, obviously, and I know, so sorry if it sounds like I'm asking a stupid question, but not all the listeners know, like what's the crux of your business? I mean, how many transactions have you guys done in the last 12 years? And is that in a concentrated area? Like what are your main lead levers, if you will, for generating the amount of business that you do?
So Kevin, just remember, there are no dumb questions, my friend. Sometimes dumb people that ask questions. So you're good. You're good. No, I don't. You get this question all the time when you have some success in the market, and I quite honestly, at the end of the day, it's what are we doing? What are we doing now, and what's happening in the market? One thing I'm proud of with our team, especially in the Phoenix market, is that we're in our 11th year in a row with averaging a home sold every single day. And the reason I share that is just because, the one thing I hope to help agents with is consistency in their business, so that they don't have that, that up and down where, oh, I had a good year and then I'm gone. And it's how do you build a business and actually that can sustain the markets and grow? So, we'll do, I think we're in our 4th year, over 100 million. We'll do about 135, 140 million this year for just under 500 sides. We're dealing with a lot of the iBuyer market, which has been really tough just from a, cost of lead standpoint, and then what we're netting on that as far as some of the commission structures that are out there based on that, but it's also a different transaction. So, just to give you an idea, again, in my 20th year, we've been geographically farming an area since 2001, where we have, pretty strong market share. I do it based on zip codes. And the cool thing about farming for me is no matter what markets we've been in, with the exception of REO, where leads were assigned, the short sale market, like we've never stopped doing our newsletter, 21,000, 22,000. Well, of course, we got 2 other farms, about 30,000, but say the main farm, about 21, 22,000 a month. we've never quit doing that. And what's happened, when I look up now, why I feel like I can teach on this, is because we built an audience over time, and not just an audience, but a trusted audience. Like they've seen our brand, things we do in the community, donations, our charity. But when the market has shifted, our newsletter didn't change, meaning the look of it or the consistency, just the content, just the message. And here we are again with a different message that we have to adapt to. I don't like it either, but the point is, I want to stay relevant. It's time to adapt. So give you kind of a snapshot. We're in East Mesa in Arizona. Geographic farming has been really our lead generator on top of pass repeat. Very little internet, not door knockers. Not that I don't recommend it when you're farming, because they already kind of know your name. But, I've always been marketing based and very little, maybe a little prospecting enhanced, but mostly just marketing. I'm a high I, so I like when people call me to come list their house versus I got to call and bug them. So.
Yeah, there's no doubt. What I love too is like you've really taken this whole, like you're in the market. You owned one zip code in your farm, and then you own the next one over, and you very sequentially built that up over time. I mean, you've gone so far as you now own other businesses in your neighborhood, right? So I mean, you started. I'll never forget. Like you started a restaurant. I went out there. I remember when you first opened. I'm like, gosh, what is this guy doing? He's crazy. Like real estate's enough. And now he went and opened a restaurant, and then you like started doing more. And what I love is like you're truly in your community. You're not just like a guy sending postcards once a month to the same 21,000 people. Like you live there, you work there, you feed people there. Like it's everything about what you guys do, and you've been able to use that to grow this huge business, man. And I think that's something that that deserves, first of all, recognition, but second of all, like I can only imagine the authenticity and the way people feel about you in the community, because you're kind of everywhere, and you have been for 20 years now at this point.
Well, man, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, we've got 3 restaurants, possibly, I can't quite release yet, but possibly a 4th one on the way. And then, but interestingly enough, the restaurants, we're a very similar business model. We just wrapped around it and put community first. We have a community room in the back for people to have, events at, soccer games. I do my neighborhood network meeting back there. Ironically, I don't know if you know or not, but happy hour every day starts at 2:12, of course. So, of course, we have a treasure box for the kids. So if the kids come in and they get a little key and it says if they eat all their food and are good, they get to go to the treasure box, which mom and dad loves that as much as the kids. And so it's just really understanding who your audience is and not trying to force your will upon them. Just find out how to best serve them, and then go out and fill that gap. And then the opportunity, just being genuine, being transparent, being humble. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to do some dumb stuff, but then owning it and then consistently just getting up every day. The thing I find with real estate, and this isn't, don't take this personally, but is, for me, it was, I worked at FedEx for 13 years. Prior to that, I went to Catholic grade school and high school. So when I got into real estate, I had to learn how to dress myself. I mean, everything was uniform, right? So it was the blue, gold, or yellow shirt and slacks. So, my point, what I, teach our team and people is, if you expect, and when you're consumer facing, I mean, you're going to appointments and working with buyers and sellers, put your uniform on every day and go to work. The mindset changes when you actually get dressed to go to work versus kind of roll in at whatever time with whatever. FedEx had consistent results and has only grown massively, since I left there in the early 2000s. But it's because everybody puts their uniform on, has a unified mission, has a plan, and goes to work every day. And I think as our industry, sometimes, we think, well, I won't have a client today, or I won't have this. And put your uniform on and go to work when you're at work. And, I think the public needs great servants. And I think we have an opportunity, especially in this market, to continue to do that. And there's so many little ways. Our industry is wide open on how you want to market and how you want to get to people. And, I would say the riches are in the niches. And, I happen to start with a 1,700 house community and built out from there. So you don't have to be massive. I mean, all the other activities in business you can still do, but just find something that when you're not, out with a client, what else can you be focusing your energy and work on? Is it building a farm? Is it building an investor business? Is it, whatever it is that you really like, sky's the limit, which is really what's cool about this industry. It just takes not jumping to the next thing because it didn't work in 30 days. Because usually why it didn't work is the operator, not the system.
Yeah, you actually, so to go back to it in a second, like you said, you sparked something. I had a mentor who used to say, there's a big difference between casual and informal, and casualness breeds casualties. He happened to go to West Point. And so, casualness breeds casualties, and informal can be, so for me, like you look at me, I'm informal, right? I typically wear shorts and flip flops and a shirt, a t-shirt, and that's informal. The way I conduct business is not casual, very on purpose, right? And I think what happens for a lot of people, and I think this is the story, is like of putting on. A lot of us need to put on the uniform because that tells us, hey, we're no longer casual. We're going to be formal, and we will not be casual because casualness breeds casualties. Like it's a mindset. It really is a mindset, in my opinion. And so, I mean, I don't take offense to that at all. I think that's a great point.
Just, we tease race. When you're consumer facing or whether you're going, it's just a mindset thing.
Yep.
And mindset is really everything. I mean, our current mindset of a realtor in the Phoenix market, there's a lot of opportunity right now to really stay in curiosity, ask more questions, get to educate and understand stuff before jumping into judgment. Because like I said earlier, you can't protect your database anymore. You can talk to it, you can manage it, you can be the resource, you can be the one who's guiding them. But if you're not doing that, either through, I don't care, video or print or however you're talking, I suggest video. Like we use viral marketing just for the sake of people getting to hear me and know that I care and I got this. But it is such a time to be talking to your people. If not, they're hearing it on the radio and TV and social, and we have so much good to talk about. Just don't be afraid to message your database. Hey guys, it's Kenny. Hey, holy cow, are you confused on the real estate market today? Hell, I'm in the business. I know I am. But the great news is I got you covered. I'm on top of all this stuff. There's these iBuyer things. There's investors. There's sell your house. This. Great news is I've sorted all this out. So if you have a real estate question or think about it, just give me a call and I'll help you sort out all of it. And I'm on your side. Or just simple. I mean, it's not. They just have to know you got it, right? And at the end of the day, it's like last year we had some of the biggest tax law changes we've ever had. And if I had to go find that out on my own, or I didn't hear from my CPA that he's on, I'm assuming he is, but if he sends me a video, hey, Kenny, holy cow, tons of changes. Great news is I'm on top of it. Now go sell some houses. I'll talk to you later in the year. I go, that's my pro. He's got me covered. So it's just messages. Don't hide. Don't act like they don't see it. And the one thing that I find the most humor in is that when agents on these forums or out in public are more concerned if Zillow, Open Door, or OfferPad are making money or not. And I go, seriously, guys, who gives a rip? I mean, it's irrelevant to you unless you're an investor with them. I mean, it really is irrelevant. If they don't make it, great, you'll still be there. If they do make it, the question is, will you still be there? And you need to start understanding this stuff.
Yeah. So that kind of brings me to my next subject was, you alluded to the market in Phoenix and all the stuff that's going on and our iBuyers. So one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you was, you and a recent guest of mine, Dan Noma, who's also another guy local here, good buddy, got together recently and started working on a course, right? And so with iRealEstatePro, which I think is so timely and is something that we as agents really need. Like we need this type of education. Why did you decide to do that, man? Because you've got the restaurant businesses going. You've got you go to Mexico, like you enjoy your family. You got grandkids. You had a couple other businesses that you're focused on as well. And this was the thing, it appeared to me, where you went, you know what, this is important. I need to kind of go all in on this. Like, what was it about that made you go, yeah, Dan, let's work together and let's create iRealEstatePro?
Well, interestingly enough, August 2019 is the 5-year anniversary of Open Door's first purchase in the Phoenix market. And I, like a lot of agents, and even when short sales started, kind of had my head in the sand. I heard them on TV, or they got, I used to get the postcards in the mail, where they'd send me an offer, and it was like ridiculous because they were sending net offers a lot of times. But anyway, and I just disregarded it. And then all of a sudden, we'd lose a listing because the people wouldn't even call us back. And then all of a sudden we'd see tax records change. We started going, what is this? And then they started sending us offers on our current listings. And it was like, we don't want to, like, no, that's like wholesale stuff. Like, why would we do that? And then all of a sudden the offers started getting a little bit better, and more of our people, if we didn't tell them about this option, they didn't trust us anymore either. Like, they're like, well, why would you hide this? Well, because I make less money. Well, that's not going to last long term. The consumer has to be first. And so whether you make a little bit less here versus here, it doesn't matter. What's ever in the best interest of the client. So, having a team that I care about deeply and the people involved, we had to go figure this out. And really one of the first things I did, there's a guy named Tyler Hickson over at Open Door, and he had reached out to me a couple times, and I finally said, you know what, I'll meet you. Let's meet and have lunch. And that was like a 2-hour plus at one of our restaurants, of course, but 2-hour plus, meeting. And I really got to know him, quite honestly, as a person first, and realized I didn't want to choke, and well, a little bit still, but really got to hear the story and what they were up to, and how, I could understand it better so that I could actually talk to my consumer about it. And believe me, I didn't want to deal with them either and have to, take a lower fee or anything like that. But what I really realized is this is a great product for a consumer. Like, who doesn't? Like, if me and you went to a listing appointment, wouldn't it be great if we got a cash offer on that property? Well, that's kind of what this is, except they're willing to buy. They tell you what they're willing to buy. They put their buy box right out there. And sometimes it's a great option, sometimes it's not. But to be a true professional, if I don't talk to my clients about every offer available in the market, I think there's some fiduciary there. That's a whole nother conversation. But I think it's important that they're at least aware of these offers, whether you get them or they go get them on their own. My recommendation would be you lead the process. You protect their identity. You market to these iBuyers versus just checking boxes and filling out a form. But to go back to your question, I mean, really the first step was I had to go personally get educated and come back to the team and go, holy cow, guys, like, this isn't going away. It's going to get better for the consumer, I think. And the fact that we had seen so many people choose, control and certainty and convenience, what I call the 3 C's, over equity, holy cow, that was a game changer, because we're so competitive as agents to get top dollar, because we think that's what drives our commission. Like, if I tell them what they want to hear, they may pay me, X commission. What I quickly realized is that money was one part of this of the opportunity for the client, but it wasn't the end all be all. Meaning, if they knew, their situation was they're moving to Colorado, they need to close on a property, and they need a closing date 42 days from now, I couldn't guarantee that. But with this product, I could guarantee it, and they may give up $10,000. And I thought, no one will do that. Like, why would they do that? And all of a sudden, they're picking that consistently and going, you know what? It's okay. We don't want to show our house. We don't want to do this. We don't. And I went, $10,000 is a lot of money. $15,000, $20,000 is a lot of money. But if you've made $100,000 in the last 5 years in equity, and it's not earned income, you didn't have to go to work for it like you do your wage. People get detached from equity just like they do chips in Vegas. The reason they give you chips in Vegas is because they remove the emotional attachment of money, and you're freer to spend. And so it's not our job to tell the consumer that they should get as much as possible for their home, or that they should go that route. It's our job to provide options and choices for our clients and let them choose what's the best option for them. Now, again, that's my opinion, but I think if I was in front of a consumer panel, that they would go, yeah, that's the right opinion. Don't tell me what you think I want. Show me all my options, and then be there by my side. And so, representation is still a big opportunity for us to make sure people know that we can represent them no matter what. It's kind of like going to new construction. We fought that battle for years, where, people accidentally go in there on a Sunday because they didn't want to bother you, and now all of a sudden they're unrepresented. I'm pretty sure the home builder didn't tell them to get a home inspection prior to close, or 6 months after, or whatever, or that person has to sell every lot in that subdivision, or I don't have to sell any lots in that subdivision, whatever's best for you. This is really the same thing in representation. Is we're representing you, looking at all the iBuyer options. And this is something we talked about earlier. When I say uniting as an industry, Zillow is united. They know what their mission is. Their teams are told, this is our mission and you will carry it out. Open Door, same thing. OfferPad, same thing. Hell, within our own companies as realtors, we fight amongst each other and do things that are not unified. Whereas I think we have to look at it as, forget what brand, you're a realtor, and if we want to keep this industry, we have to unite in how we message the consumers and let them know that no matter which road you go. So I look at it like, if I'm going down the road, it's not iBuyer left and consumer, or traditional sale right. It's a straight road ahead. We're just going to do it together, and you get both options with me. Whereas if you go to them, you're only getting one option. And by the way, they're going to give you an option that matches their offer. I mean, it's just how it is. They're not going to necessarily give you real market value. I also, not necessarily real market value, but what you could do to fix it up or make it ready. And this is our opportunity as agents is, do you have resources for people? Or are you just giving them a vendor list? Or are you actually calling the vendor and helping set the appointment and make it as easy and frictionless as possible for them? And if you're helping to, I'm carrying one or two right now for like 4,700 is one I just had across my desk the other day to pay for carpet and paint, and then put it on the back end and I'll get paid when it closes. Now there's some risk. I'm not saying everybody to do it, but we know we're going to get them more money. We're going to keep our sign in the yard, really important. And we're going to solve the problem. And hey, by the way, commission's full and a little fee on the money. So, there's you got to get a little bit creative, but it's got to be consumer centric. It's got to be that it's a value to them. And some people have the time to market the home and say, take, 45 to 90 days from beginning to close to make that extra 8, 10, 20, 30 grand in some cases. One thing too, Kevin, I actually went on Amazon and bought some play money. So I actually, we will take this with us to the listing appointment just to remind them of what real money looks like. And you just set that on the table and say, well, here's $10,000. That's the difference between these two offers. If you're okay with it, hey, that option has a lot of perks to it. If you want, I'm going to get to work and help you get this, and I'm going to earn you at least this, if not more, by getting your home ready and going full retail. Now, which one do you want to do? It's just getting creative to give them as many solutions. We're in the real estate solution business, and that's really it. And we just have to get creative with the new market.
That's awesome, man. I love that. That is such a big deal. And, I want to reiterate something you said too, or not reiterate, but dig further if you could. And I know we're winding up on the top of the hour here, and so I won't take too much time, but you mentioned, okay, great. We've got a lot of people who they've got, say, $50,000 or $100,000 in equity built up over the last 5, 6, 7 years. So $10,000 when they got the 3 C's is not a big deal.
Right.
But so there's a lot of the other naysayers, and there's not even naysayers. There's agents who just don't know yet, who are going, okay, yeah, but the market's going to go down eventually, or it's going to weaken. So then these companies are probably just going to go away then, right? Like Open Door, they're already not really profitable, so they're just going to go away, or Zillow is just going to lose even more money and eventually have to stop doing this. Is that how it works, or is that what you're expecting to happen?
No, I think, it's always kind of counterintuitive, right? I mean, that would be what you would assume would happen. These guys are already talking about this and poised for when that happens. And what does a seller need more in a down market? They need a buyer. And if they've got a buyer who's got cash, they're going to take a deeper discount in some cases just to get that home sold. And what we don't see on the front end is the amount of properties bought by iBuyers that never come back to the market. They're sold directly to REITs and other things that are buying investment property and holding those. So don't get me wrong. I mean, just and from talking to Dan Noma, who's my partner in this, that's his space. And so even in our class, we talk about the institutional buyers, because a lot of people don't even realize they're out there. until they buy 4,000 or 5,000 homes in a market. But they only own, I mean, Invitation Home, for example, owns 85,000 homes throughout the US. You add up all the other ones, Progress, everybody owns, that's only still 2% of the available rental market in the US, because most of them are owned by individuals who have 1, 2, 5, 10, whatever. So believe me, if there's money to be made and the rents are like they are right now, we have a downturn in the market and they can buy them for a little bit less than market value because they're forecasting. The thing that they have that we don't is they have a tremendous amount of sales data now in neighborhoods. The more they buy, the smarter they're getting to know average rehab costs and days on market, rental rates, all of that stuff. So I wouldn't count on down market, which, by the way, I think we're a ways out from that no matter what. Yep. And down, down is an interesting word compared to what down felt like in 09. That was down, man. That was way down.
That was like steep down.
That was a cliff, right? I mean, this next down might be a little bit, it takes 90 days or 120 days to sell a house, not 3 hours. I mean, that may be the new down, but these guys, I mean, let's face it. I mean, I had signs that were sitting out in the yard changing colors because they'd been out there for a year back in that market. A consumer would have, hell, we went down 40 grand anyway. They could have just taken an offer. So yeah, I wouldn't count on that. I would count on, refining your business, adapting to it, because real estate is such a great conversation right now. Interest rates are low. The market has been good. This is an optimum time to be really educated on what's happening. But what I'm finding is a lot of agents that aren't doing enough volume in the marketplace are going, this doesn't affect me. It hasn't affected me. The reality of it is, to do more business, you're going to come across this. And if you can't sit at the kitchen table and talk about it or blog about it or social post about it and really understand it, you're going to become, further in the distance and not of value to your client. And the one thing the internet has done is it's taken off. We're not the gatekeeper of anything anymore online. I mean, truthfully, we lost search in 06. CMAs are dead. Nobody cares about a CMA anymore. I mean, the guys are get a free CMA, and we all did it. That's dead too. They go online, they put in their address, they get 9 CMAs within seconds. They pick the one they like, and they go, there's the value of my home. When I'm ready to sell, then I'll call someone. Man, what a message we have now. I mean, think about door knocking, Kevin. You went and door knocked around an open house this weekend, and then people, hey, the Johnsons asked us to sell their home, blah, 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 your little script. And you go, oh, by the way, would you be interested in a no obligation competitive offer on your home? I could have it to you by tomorrow. Huh? What? Like, there's an offer. It's not a CMA. It's not a put you in my database. Like, would you like an offer on your home? Great. Where's the best place to send that? Or I'll stop back by tomorrow. I mean, think about the conversations. And I mean, what if you door knocked 100 homes and 10 of those wanted a competitive offer, and 2 of those took them, and you made 1% for, 2 hours worth of work? I mean, it's
not a bad gig.
It's crazy, man. And I we're just embracing it, and we're powering up to go out and just start asking. I can tell you, I used to own a restaurant in San Diego for 13 years. And a year and a half ago, someone came to us, not for sale, by the way, and said, hey, we'd like to buy your restaurant. Can we make you a cash offer? And my partner, Sam, out there said, yeah, let's go ahead and have it. And then they sent it, and we went, did you see the P&L? But okay. And so we sold that property with not one intention of selling it. But the deal was right. The timing was right. And I've got the same thing going on in Mexico right now. One of my condos, the guy bought the 11th floor. A guy bought the penthouse on the 11th floor. My agent down there, who's asked me many times, because they're so low on inventory, would you want to part with any of your condos? Like, would you sell 1 or 2 of them? And I said, no, they're doing great. He calls me, he goes, hey, the 11th floor, the guy just bought the penthouse. He wants every unit on the 11th floor. Can I get you an offer? I said, yeah, go ahead, send it. The difference of having to market it and put it on the market and go through that, even in Mexico, where I'm not there, it's a vacation rental, was, yeah, send me an offer. I mean, I'll look at it if I don't like it. But will I use Dan 100% of the time, unless I open my own brokerage down there? But would I use him 100% of the time? Because he brought me a solution, and he was forward thinking. And he said, I have an opportunity. I want to present it to you. That was value to me.
Yeah, that was huge value. And I think um, as agents now more than ever, we've got to find ways to bring value to our clients, to our sphere. Otherwise, we will find ourselves looking for another job, quite frankly, because these companies are out there. They are as consumer centric as they come, and if we don't find a way to go insert value and be that person, that trusted resource for our clients, then we're going to be, they're not going to need us. They'll eliminate us. No doubt about it.
Yeah, it just can't be. We can't put our best interest ahead of the clients because that's a losing battle. Put your clients out there. And by the way, if you go to a listing appointment and the iBuyer offer is better and they want to go buy a home, guess what? You just did a buy sell in like 30 to 45 days.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. People are already doing it with builder trade-in programs. They're netting a total of say 4. You're in that same position. You just didn't have all the marketing and the friction of a listing. And don't get me wrong, man. I wish they weren't here. 100% wish they weren't around in 99.9% of the cases, because I'm willing to go do the work and get the house sold. I really am. I mean, by selling to them, I'm losing my sign in the yard. I'm losing my marketing, the open house. But you can still put a sign if the client allows it, during say the 20 to 40 days that during closing, and still try to get some calls. So you've got to get creative. But man, I wish they didn't exist either. The problem is they do, and they're multiplying. We've got another one getting ready to launch next month here locally. These lead aggregators are jumping into the business now, right? I mean, HomeLight has their program. You go request an agent and says, hey, you want an offer on your house? Like, I mean, it's going to continue to grow when sellers raise their hand and say, yeah, send me an offer. And we need to find a way to convey that message that we participate in that and we can help you. The great news is we don't have to have any of the capital or any of the risk. We just have to have the message to stay in front of our people.
Yeah, that's solid. So, all right. So where can people learn more about that? What's the website people can go to if they want to take a look at that training that you guys have put together, which I've completed it. Fred, my business partner, has completed it as well. It's super, super good training, and I highly recommend everybody do it.
Well, so it's called, iRealEstatePro.com. So just I and then RealEstatePro.com. Our acronym is IREP, and the concept there is because I represent you. So when you're sitting at a kitchen table, hey, I'm IREP certified. It means I represent just you. I don't represent any of these iBuyers. I don't represent, anybody else, the builders. I just represent you, was the idea. And so we packed that thing full of scripts. A lot of the scripts you've heard me say today are on there, plus more. And I've been doing this, almost 5 years now on the iBuyer side. I've done a lot of bad marketing around it as I was learning. You're getting all of our white labeled marketing pieces that we're currently using. We just added another one this week. You also get a white labeled website. Scott doesn't like me to keep saying the name of what we use because then every agent goes to it and blows it up. But we basically took the landing page or the website that we use to attract, iBuyer, the idea of kind of like the Trivago or Trivago Expedia of real estate, where, hey, why get one offer? We'll go get them all. But we've created that in a white label so that every agent can plug into their website. Because if every agent across the country just has a get an instant offer button or get a competitive offer now button on their website, we start to level the playing field. And then your consumer knows that you offer that product too, that they don't have to go around you. But if it's only me and you and 10 people, we're not big enough to, meaning talking to enough people. But if every agent, because here's the thing is, I do not mind at all competing agent versus agent for a listing appointment. What I don't like is competing agent versus robot when I don't have any control of who I'm competing against and the power that they may have. So if every agent has that, so part of the package is all of that. We've got videos. We're actually we're doing a meeting kind of like this with the owner of Knock tomorrow. So we're going to keep bringing the most relevant stuff to the community. And this isn't like CDP where you took a class and it's over. This is an ongoing because of the speed of the market. Like we have to keep everybody updated, what markets they're going to next. Because like San Diego people right now are calling going, hello, I've heard all this out in Arizona, but now Zillow's launching here. What do we do? My Colorado friends, same thing, a while back. And you're starting to hear the noise because now they're all being impacted by this. It's an opportunity for us to unite and, we're just packing this thing full. I've got radio ads, we've got scripts. I mean, any way you're marketing, if there isn't something in there, you'll tell us and we'll get it. Because like I'm in the trenches with you guys and I'm putting my name on this. I don't want it to be crap. It's got to be value. So iRealEstatePro.com. It's about 3.5 hours of online content that unlocks the lab. We also have a private community in there, which I think we're transitioning over to a private Facebook group, just because I know people frequent that a little. It's easier to use maybe, but where we can start sharing best practices and ideas and things we're doing to go out and unify. So it doesn't matter what brand you're with, doesn't matter any of that. We're ultimately all realtors, and we need to get on the same page on how we're messaging this this new market we're in.
Awesome, man. Well, Kenny, I appreciate it, man. We thank you taking the time out of your super busy schedule to chat with me and the Next Level Agent podcast listeners and share your wisdom through this IREP course and all the other stuff that you do out for the community. It means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to the agents that you've impacted over the years and the ones that you're going to continue to impact. So thanks a lot. And Next Level Agent listeners, follow Kenny, hop onto his Facebook group. Is it iBuyer Hub? Is that the name of it?
Yeah. So the non-member one, the open group is just iBuyer and the word hub. And we started that about 2 months ago just to start. This was before we even launched the class, was just to start unifying agents. And then from the comments and the questions on iBuyer, I'm like, all right, I can't keep this all to ourselves. We got to go to market with this and get the message out so that agents are armed with this, so that, I don't care what state you're in, the more iBuyer deals that they do in your state without representation, the bigger risk we all have of them growing faster. So, just dive into this stuff. If you don't like it, so it's an investment in your business and your future. And I'm just telling you, you're getting it from two people that are doing it, in my opinion, at a high level consistently, and not just trying to sell a product, but to really arm you with the tools and education to go survive and ultimately thrive in this new market.
Absolutely. And, Dan had shared a discount code with you guys or with us recently, and I put it in the Facebook group, and I'll share it here. It's NLA 2019. So NLA 2019 will save like $100 off of the course. We don't get anything for that. That was just Kenny and Dan going, we want to make sure that the Next Level Agent community gets in there and really takes advantage of this, because there's a lot of stuff in there. And to his point, like, we've got to come together as an industry and unify. And I think this is one of those things that we can really rally around to do that with. So thanks a ton, man.
And with that discount and with, the monthly stuff, I mean, you're talking about really less than a $1,000 annual investment in your business. You get the website, but the thing is, this isn't just one. I mean, next month we've got more interviews and more stuff we're dropping in, more marketing pieces. So, we're proud of where we started. We know it's not perfect. We know it's got some work to do. We'll continue to refine and improve. I don't know any other way, and I wouldn't do it if we weren't. So, but thank you guys for helping get the message out. And hey, if there aren't iBuyers in your market yet, this is even a bigger opportunity to start understanding this. And by the way, you might end up finding some local iBuyers, because really it's kind of a guaranteed sale, but this is guaranteed offer. And you just need, if you find the person who will make the offer, or maybe it's yourself, get a line of credit, whatever. You'd be surprised when you give people options, what they may end up taking. And so, don't be afraid of this. Just understand it first. I don't care if you decide to go, which way you decide to go, just understand it first before you talk about it or before you make a decision. Get educated first, then decide what you think is right. There's a lot of negativity out there, a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of comparisons people are putting with, these offers that I'm just not seeing in today's market, with fees and repair requests. So, understand it first before you take somebody else's word that maybe upset or maybe had a one-off, bad experience. Because keep in mind, in the last 5 years, they've changed a lot and grown a lot. I mean, their inspections used to be brutal, then they got really good, and now they're pretty much what they think the buyer is going to ask for when they resell it. But they give estimates. I mean, they've really come a long way to make it even easier for the agent to be involved. So anyway, let's keep communication open, man. If we can, want to revisit sometime too, I'm happy to, and would love to get a bunch of your people in there. sharing feedback so we can make this thing as awesome as possible for all of us.
Right on. Kenny Klaus, dude, I really appreciate your time today. And we'll talk to you again soon, my man.
All right, brother. Thanks, man.
Take it easy.